Are you using inbound marketing in your solopreneur business? If not, it's a great way for you to passively attract leads, build a personal brand, and really be of service through your content to your ideal audience. Now, you know how I feel about marketing and self-promotion, right? But I do think that inbound marketing is really powerful. In this episode, I basically give you the framework for how to start using AI to build a really powerful inbound marketing strategy. And I give you step-by-step example of how to reverse engineer your end game, like what do you want them to buy, and then moving backwards to drive the content and the call to action in the content, which would be whatever those steps are in order to get to that conversation or transaction where they actually spend money and work with you. And so this is really interesting because it's kind of basic marketing. Inbound marketing is something that I think is still used very well today. And you can tell when you go on LinkedIn or any social media and you see the content that you're looking for and you listen, you watch, you read, or you are scrolling and then there's a pitch coming at you. There's somebody hawking something. There's somebody throwing something, like if you don't do this, you're going to lose out kind of mentality. That's the kind of marketing and that I don't like, and why most people don't like marketing, because they don't like people pitching them hard like that and hawking their stuff. Nobody wants to be sold. They want their problem solved. And if you're the right person to solve it, then it's your duty to be creating content that demonstrates that. And that's really what this episode is all about. So I walk you through how to create good prompts, starting to use AI, because remember, this season's all about starting, and then how you can leverage it to really create a powerful and simple inbound marketing campaign. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to My Solopreneur Life. I'm Terry Pappy, your gracious host, and I am so glad you're here. I have a wonderful episode for you. Sit back, relax, and let's have some real talk about what it is to be a solopreneur. Although I've admitted that I'm not into self-promotion and I really don't like marketing and all those things from prior episodes, one thing that I will advocate for is inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is essentially where you're creating valuable content that solves an early stage problem or gives your audience, your ideal client or customer, a solution to something that they're struggling with, or an insight, or a tip, or whatever. And this is the most successful way to market online versus pushy stuff like buy my stuff, sign up for my course, or else you're going to miss out, or all these kind of like strange pitchy tactics. And so if I do any marketing, it's going to be just creating really great content. Now, where does AI come in when it comes to a solopreneur like yourself creating valuable inbound marketing content? What I typically recommend when using AI, and my AI tool of choice right now is ChatGPT. I'm very comfortable with it. I use it in a variety of ways. And I think the true key to being successful, and I'm sure you've already heard this from other AI users as well as AI pundits and resources and newsletters and podcasts, that having skill around prompting, you have to be able to tell the AI what you want it to do. And you have to be descriptive enough where it generates the content that not only are you looking for, but it has enough unique aspects where then you can come in and just put a little bit of your DNA in there, or a lot, depending on how your prompt is, to get a result that really sounds like you, that you agree with what it's saying and what it's asking for, and that you're able to put your brand on it, your stamp of approval. When you're looking at inbound marketing and how to leverage AI, when you're starting to use AI for inbound marketing, it's always helpful to start with the end in mind. I'm a big reverse engineering fan. So let's say that you are a sales coach and you have a mastermind for folks that want to get better at selling, and you have an online course. Obviously, the mastermind, let's say, is going to be a premium product because it means that you're going to be spending time with the people in your mastermind to help them. So you'll be coaching live. There'll be obviously the group dynamic going on, and it's for a substantial period of time. And it also includes some one-on-one. It's a premium product. Let's say it sells for $20,000 and it goes for, let's say, a year. Because sometimes, depending on the business, the sales cycle from when you first talk to a prospect to when you actually close them will vary depending on your industry. And since the work that I do is primarily with people who are in relationship sales and consultants, authors, speakers, executive coaches, and the like, those folks typically put their personal brand first. So they're really marketing themselves and their capabilities and experience when it comes to the consulting and then problem solving. So with those folks, it could be large engagements can take sometimes 6 months. So let's say that it's a year-long program, $20,000, and the goal is to have you as a participant 20 grand in a year, you'll be able to earn that back. So it's basically free training that you can use in perpetuity. So that's a really cool product. The other option is an online course, and it has video in it and a step-by-step and this kind of thing. But it's much more affordable. Let's say it's just $5,000, okay? And it may include maybe 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with the business owner. Okay, so that's the end game, is to sell one or the other, okay? Now, the online course can obviously lead to the mastermind. So anybody who buys the online course, at the end of that course, they're encouraged to go ahead and buy the mastermind, which is an upsell. Okay, so that's your product. So that's the end in mind. Now, you can use AI to generate a lot of that stuff too, but we'll get into that some other time. Starting with AI to do your inbound marketing, you've got your product. What's the next thing that happens right before that? Well, obviously, there has to be some sort of page or consultation call that the prospect gets on with you or fills out an assessment or something where they are conversing with you where you're able to have a sales conversation. That is the thing that happens prior to them putting money against participating in one of your products. Now, what leads to that? Well, let's see. How do we get them? Let's just say it's a call. We want to get them on a consult call because we want to be able to talk to them about their sales, where they're having trouble, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that is your inbound marketing call to action. On everything that you're creating using AI and posting on LinkedIn, posting on Instagram, wherever your audience is, posting on YouTube, that's going to be the consistent call to action for this particular inbound marketing campaign. And it's all about getting people into those programs. And I'm sure you've seen this or even bought stuff following this model. Okay. I try to simplify things because some of these funnels are ridiculous. You know, it's like, let's just focus on keeping it super simple because you know that's my thing. Simplicity is key. And you want to make it as easy and frictionless as possible for your prospects to actually engage and do business with you. You also want to be very transparent about how you're communicating at every stage, at every touch point that they're coming through. That consult call is your consistent call to action. Now, what's the step? What's the thing that happens before that? Well, that is your content. And that's where you use AI. Okay. So if you've been working with your audience for a while and you really know what they struggle with, you really know some of the things that they want, you really know what is challenging them in their environment, whether it's the economy, whether it's the industry they're in, whether it's the region that they're located in. And so with those things in mind, what you want to do is you want to use different aspects in that AI to talk about those things. So inbound marketing is all about identifying where your ideal prospects are struggling and creating content for that. This is where AI comes in. Now, I'm giving you a formula right here that is super simple to set up inbound marketing. A lot of this you can automate, by the way, which is what I do for all my clients. Like, how can I make this even easier for my client? Okay, let's automate everything, right? And so you can create all this content. Now, what a lot of people make the mistake in doing when they're creating inbound marketing content is they try to put way too much in any given post or article or video. What you need to do is, as you're using ChatGPT, for example, because that's my tool of choice, is you want to be very specific about a very small aspect of whatever that struggle is, whether it's an emotional takeaway, whether it's a mindset thing, whether it's a tactical thing, whether it's a best practice, whether it's an example of a case study of where another business solved that problem and this is how. Each one has to be broken up into little segments, because here's the thing, you could do a month's worth of posts or content or videos essentially in one sitting over 1 or 2 days, and then schedule everything out using a scheduler, or on LinkedIn, for example, you can schedule right inside the post, which is fantastic. Focusing on AI and putting in your prompt, you want to have your prompt include that whole spectrum, that whole customer journey, because what that's going to do is it's going to teach ChatGPT, this is the overall strategy. I want to get someone to buy my, let's say, the course, okay? I want someone to spend $5,000 and sign up, and this person, okay, here's the prompt. I'm giving this all to you. So take notes. So in that prompt, you want to describe that person and what they struggle with, specific to that one thing that you've pulled out. You don't want to make that struggle encompass everything that they're struggling with. You want it to be one little aspect, because that one little thing is going to be that pebble in their shoe that if you dislodge it, if you take it out of there for them, you will win their trust, and they will start leaning in and listening to more and more of what you have. They'll follow you. They'll subscribe to a newsletter if you choose to do that, or you can just go ahead and offer them that online course, or even give them the opportunity to do the mastermind. Okay. Now, remember, prior to that transaction, there's a consult call. On that consult call is where you're going to say, okay, well, here's the mastermind, right? They're going to say, oh, I don't have 20 grand to put into that. You can either work out a payment plan, like $5,000 a quarter for 4 quarters, or you can downsell them into the course. So, well, listen, why don't you try the course? It has a lot of the components, but it's self-paced, so you're going to be on your own, but you'll get a couple of one-on-one coaching sessions with me throughout the time you're in the course. And then because you've already started with the 20 grand offer, $5,000 is going to sound a lot more doable. If they can't even afford the $5,000, maybe they're not your prospect. You know what I mean? They have to have the budget in order for you to be able to have an impact, right? They have to make that investment with you. Now, getting back to the prompts. So taking that one little aspect, you want to describe to the best of your knowledge or assumptions about that ideal client. And you can think of somebody maybe in the past that you've worked with that had that problem, and that other people are struggling with it as well. Focus on that one problem. So you start your prompt out by saying, I want to create a post. Let's just stick to LinkedIn for now. I want to create a LinkedIn post that gets describe that ideal customer, what they're struggling with, and then provide information as far as how you would approach it. Don't let ChatGPT be the one who's solutioning for you, because whenever we have AI solution for us when it comes to what we do in our particular business. It removes our DNA from that content, from that solution. Then all of a sudden AI owns it, if you know what I mean. So it's like AI is like another person in the room. And if they're generating it, where are they getting that information from? Well, that's data out there in the world that it's pulling together and making some decisions based on that information and trying to address your particular prompt based on the information that you're giving it versus you telling it, this is how I would approach this. Here are the 3 things that I think need to be included in this content. And you say, this is what I would advise, 1, 2, 3. And then you can ask ChatGPT to refine it, expand it, give examples, and then you modify it after that. You want the ChatGPT to create a hook. A hook is that intro line that stops the scroll, that gets people to pay attention. And the more you adjust, tweak, refine the prompt based on the results you're getting, the closer you're going to get to what you really want. And then please don't take it as is. Try to go in there and infuse your voice, your opinion, your personality. And there are ways to do this really successfully where it doesn't sound like ChatGPT. I'm going to give you a little kind of side advice here. People can tell when you're using straight lifted generated content through AI. There have been a couple of instances where I've gotten, even from a client, I had a client supply me some content, and then I had someone, I actually talked about this in another episode, I had someone comment that I didn't know, comment on one of my LinkedIn posts, and it just sounded really weird. Both of them had this kind of feel, this AI feel. In both instances, at different times, I copied and put it into ChatGPT, and I said, this was something a client gave me, blah, 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 in response to this, blah, blah, blah. So you have to set the scene. And then I pasted, I said, was this generated with AI? And ChatGPT came back both times and said, yes, it's likely it was generated with AI based on these 5 reasons, right? It doesn't have tone, it doesn't have this, whatever. That's just where AI is right now. Will it become much more like us and more human and more like our brands as they get more sophisticated? Probably. So will it completely replace what we're doing? I don't know. I mean, should we worry about that? Like, what are we going to do? This is the big dilemma with AI. I think it's an amazing tool, and I think it should be used, and we should all get as comfortable as possible with it. So I just wanted to kind of sidebar that little example of how, and believe me, I am a user myself. I'm learning myself. So I'm not the foremost expert on this. And believe me, at the pace that this is changing and improving and evolving, it can't keep up. So just use it to the best of your ability. And the more you use it, obviously, you're going to get a lot more comfortable with it. So getting back to my little prescriptive how-to here on inbound marketing, when you're looking at all of this content that you're creating, that you can schedule out, that you can have images, and try to use authentic images. Your brand, like on all my LinkedIn posts, for the most part, I'd say 90%, it's a picture of me because I want them to associate my words with me. In fact, today I was playing around with some avatars, and there's something about, for me, using an avatar that just feels a little disingenuous. I know there are a lot of people who don't like how they look on video. They don't like how they sound, whatever. They don't want to be on camera, whatever the insecurity is that's driving that need to have an avatar now that they're so much more accessible to do that work for us in our place. I don't know. It's probably easy for me to kind of rant about it because I've done video for like decades, right? So it's taken me a while, don't get me wrong, but it's taken me a while to get comfortable and to really be myself. And I think I'm probably more, if you've been listening to me for a while, you can probably see that I am pretty much all Terry 24/7 on camera now. Anyway, I digress. Getting back to inbound marketing, those topics, I mean, you can create a little spreadsheet saying, here's a struggle theme, here's another struggle theme, here's another struggle theme. And all of these different things will help you create a cadence, as well as not just a cadence in the scheduling, but a cadence in the consistency of your topic. You become known for that particular topic, for providing solutions in that. You are the sales coach, right? So you get known for those things. And you're able to address a lot of the fears, a lot of the conditions, a lot of the assumptions that people make. And you can ask ChatGPT to come up with things that are a little, I don't want to say attention getting, but just a little bit less mundane, from the standpoint of like, here's how to do this, here's how to do that, right? Just kind of like, not to diss on myself, but like kind of like how I'm doing it, because there's so much how-to out there. But if you can somehow infuse more personality, infuse more of what makes you you into your inbound marketing, the more people are going to feel that they have a relationship or a connection with you. That's why I'm kind of anti-avatar. I'll do a thing on avatars at some other point, but right now I think that it's a little premature to all of a sudden just swap yourself out for an avatar. I think that there are other ways we can use avatar that are going to be a lot more fun and a lot more creative, but I'll talk about that in another episode. So the prompt that I have for you is, when you're looking at inbound marketing, if you haven't done this, or if you have done it, but it's been a while and you didn't really do it right, or you didn't feel confident with it, whatever the case may be, what I'd like for you to do is map that out. Start with the end in mind. What are you selling? What are you taking money for? And what is the step that happens prior to that? And then what's the step that happens prior to that? And then how can you create content that answers an early stage question, or a question related to that struggle that your ideal customer's having, in the context of how you generally work and how you can solve their problem in that program, that course, that engagement, whatever, okay? Just map that out. That's all you got to do. Just get a piece of paper, go online, do a spreadsheet or whatever. Or you could even use ChatGPT, and you could say, yep, I just listened to Terry Pappy, and she just laid out this model for inbound marketing and how to use ChatGPT to create content, right? So I'm not teaching you or sharing anything new. This is being done today by millions of people. But what is it about that prompt that you can put in and refine that really captures what makes you different, what showcases your expertise, as well as conveys to your audience that you really get who they are, what they're struggling with, and that you know how to fix it? And that's really the bottom line. Because if you can get that across to your audience, it's going to make their lives so much easier. They're going to feel great about the opportunity to work with you. They're going to be like, oh, finally, someone who understands what I'm struggling with. And I think that that's really as simple as you can get with how you can use something like ChatGPT, starting with AI, to really create a powerful, effective inbound marketing campaign. So give it a try and let me know how it goes. Well, I know you're disappointed, but that's it for this episode. Listen, the great news is there's another one coming, so stay tuned. Anyway, I just want to make sure that you do the prompt, if this episode had a prompt, and you get that homework done, because you're going to be a better solopreneur. How's that for a maternal finger shaking at you? Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here, for giving me time of your day, and, for taking it on. So if you want to learn more and stay connected with me, just head on over to mysolopreneurlife.com. Thanks a bunch. See you soon. That was pretty good. I think I'll keep that one.